Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today at the Teach with Tech conference. This session is on green screen in the elementary classroom, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I am super pumped about sharing green screen, and I hope you get some great ideas and some different things that you can use in your classroom to use with green screen. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and if you're at the green screen in the elementary classroom, this is the right session. I am going to introduce myself here a little bit. I'm Anita Goodwin, and I blog at Goodwinnovate.com, so you can check out some of my posts there and see if you want to learn some more about green screen. And I've been teaching for 22 years, believe it or not. I've taught mostly in second grade, but I've also taught first grade. I have a few years of reading recovery experience, and I also have taught Title I group in grades 1 through 3 in reading and math. So I have been using green screen in the classroom for about the last 6 years, and maybe even a little longer than that. But I just really love using green screen, and so do the kids, and we do lots of cool projects. So my family is here in this picture, and I have a son and a daughter. My daughter is in college right now. She is doing her internship in North Carolina, actually, and then she's going to be graduating. And my son is working here in town in the area, and my husband works there too. So we are kind of empty nesters. They're both out of the house right now, and we have our little dogs to keep us company. We have Tipper and we have Lily, and Tipper and Lily are so fun. They keep us entertained and keep us busy since our kids aren't at home right now. To get started here today, I'm going to share with you what I'm going to cover during my session. In my session, I'm going to cover some things about getting started with green screen in the classroom, kind of how I manage it with my kids, and then give you a couple simple project ideas and hopefully some tips that will help you when you're filming and using green screen in your classroom. So why green screen? Well, I go back to the 3 C's, which is what I use for my green screen projects, and it's creation, collaboration, and communication. I'll see if I can move myself over here a little bit. Communication is a really, really important key one, and it's also one of the speaking and listening standards. But creativity is everywhere. You see it all in the media, you see it in art, you see it all over the world, and creativity is something that kids can use in any job, and it's going to be something that they're always going to be able to keep, and it's never going away, I don't think. Excuse me. And collaboration or teamwork is something that's really important when we do green screen projects. When we collaborate and work together as a team to make a project, it's a lot of fun. And sometimes it's the whole class, and sometimes it's just a small group. And then communication, where kids are standing up and talking in front of the classroom and sharing their projects. And sometimes just using the green screen is a little bit easier because they're not totally in front of the class when they're filming that, but then they get to share it. And so it kind of eases those nerves and gets them to be able to speak clearly, and they have to re-record sometimes, and then everybody else can hear when they're sharing their project, and that's a lot of fun. I'm going to go right into how to get started, and just the basics are all you need to get started, which is an app or a green screen way to film, a green screen, and an idea. And the green screen can be as simple as just a little folder and making a green screen area in your classroom. I know a lot of people don't have a lot of space to make a green screen area, and you're taking things down and up a lot, but this is a little folder, and you can use this with puppets or little toys or little minifigures, things like that. Basically, you're taking that pocket folder and you're putting it like this, and you have an instant green screen. So simple, easy, and doesn't take up very much space at all. Put it in a station where kids can use it as a workstation when they're done with projects or done with schoolwork and they need something to do. Then green screen's always there for them to use. Always be on the lookout for all different types of green screen or green things. This is just a cutting board that I found at Dollar General for a couple dollars. And you can use green fabric, like shown here in my picture, just little pieces of felt, or even the little quilt squares that they have. For all these are for smaller things, like even the side of this craft bag. If you have your items in the bag, they can use the bag as a green screen. Just prop it up on something. Another thing that you can use are the Trifold science boards, and I really like those. I'll have those in the next clip that I'll talk about those a little bit more. And in my classroom, we even created a bulletin board. I just put green fabric on it, and then the kids can use that bulletin board to film, and it's just up there all the time, and we don't have to change anything out. They just get up on the table, and we set our iPad on a tripod, and we film. Green pizza boxes that I got some donated from Pizza Hut, just painted them green. I think we used Luscious Green. It's in one of my blog posts. You'll have to check that out. Play-Doh even works really good for little tiny minifigures that you can put in there and give them a background, kind of like the photo here. So simple, easy, and small. You don't have to really have a lot of big things to take up a lot of space. A tripod is really important, but you can notice here, this person is just standing and using their arms. Before we had tripods, we didn't even worry about that, except I have them hold their arms in tight against their body and then hold their iPad, and you just get a little bit of movement, but it's not too bad if they are holding their arms tight and kind of squeezing. This one is called the Graffiti Noodle, and this one works really well for any kind of iPad size because it can stretch so big and allow those big cases, take up a bunch of bulk, and this one just fits around right on the corners, and it fits on any tripod with the screw-in thing on the back, which is really super nice. I just ended up getting these cheap tripods. I think there were actually 3 of them in a pack for under 20 bucks. And one of them did get a bent leg so far, so they don't hold up for years and years, but the other 2 have been working fine. And you can put them at various sizes because they have the different levels. But this will work with any tripod, and these are under $20 also. So I look for things that are inexpensive that I can use in the classroom. The green Trifold boards I talked about earlier, we also can use them in blue. This color works really well. I found that green things and blue things work the best. If you can see, this girl has kind of a shade of green, and her things might disappear when she's on a green background. So using this blue Trifold board for kids that are wearing green is a good alternative so that they don't kind of blend into the background. Microphones, just even like the microphone that I have on for this live here, it is a lavalier microphone. Those work really well. I haven't found one that's a cordless one to use. I just have to use the ones with the cord. And they work well for recording voiceover things, or even the cords are long enough that you can use it with your iPad. A lot of times we don't use a microphone though, we just end up talking louder. So an iPad stand, we have stands with our iPads in the classroom, which is nice. You can prop them up on things. This is just a little stand from Five Below that works. Sometimes people use recording booths. I know I've seen those Flipgrid recording booths. I tried one at ISTE. It had a lot of green cast to it, but somebody said if you put a light in there that it makes it a lot better. And it doesn't necessarily block out all the sound. It's just mainly for the kids to have a focus so that they can think about what they're doing when they're recording and focus on what they're recording. Also, one thing you might want is some straws or barbecue skewers painted color. They are good for putting these little stick puppets on, and this is just clip art that I printed on the chroma key green background, and it blends right in the background when you go to use it. But you can see up here at the top picture, we had times where we didn't even use the painted ones or use green straws. We just used regular barbecue skewers, and that works too. We don't always have to paint them green. That just gives it a better look if you want. And then this is nice because you can have these any which way. So you can have your fish like coming this way or up above. You can put your item on there any way you want. And this is just with tape, but you could also use Velcro them on, and then you can Velcro them any which way you want onto your stick for your puppets. And that works great for a mini green screen. So those are some things that I found that work really well in my classroom. This one I got at the beginning before I got the Graffiti Noodle, and it didn't work very well. It was a cheaper brand, and it didn't go around the iPad so good when we have the big cases. And the bendable tripods work well too because they can bend around things or prop up. Another thing that's fun is just props like hats and glasses. Kids love all that kind of stuff to add really cool things to their green screen projects. I'm going to go on to the next slide here and talk a little bit about how we manage and what some project ideas are. I suggest start simple, which is a photo on a photo. And that is a really easy way to do a first green screen project, getting them used to the app. So you can see here, these ladies, we actually took their photo on a green background, and then we just put them in front of this kind of aquarium just to show them what it would look like. That was at ISTE when we were there, and those ladies were really surprised about how that worked. So now there are pictures on a photo, and what do you do with that? You can put that into other apps and type on it, or use it in all kind of projects. Add it to Seesaw, and they can voice record over some things that they learned about the ocean. Whatever your photo is, use that for an academic learning experience where the kids can share whatever photo is behind them. The other thing that the DoInk app does is you can put video on photo and photo on video. So start simple and progress slowly. You're going to want to progress to something where they're doing the video on the photo or the photo on the video. And then you can start mixing and matching more things, because you can do video on video and just get it a little bit more elaborate as they go along. So I'm going to show you this little project that these girls did here. They recited a poem on the back of in front of a book, I'm sorry.
Ceiling by Arnold Lobel. Books to the ceiling, books to the sky. My pile of books are a mile high. How I love them, how I need them. I'll have a long beard by the time I read them.
That was a fun thing that kids can do, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. All they did was use their iPad right on the floor. They sat right on the floor to film that, and they just found a photo of books to put in the background, and they practiced and recited a poem. Readers' theaters are another fun way to do something in front of a background. And a photo in front of a photo, that was a video in front of a photo, and then a photo in front of a photo here was the fish in the aquarium. I'm going to show you, when I show the projects later, a photo on a video, because it's really hard to show yourself in front of a green screen in that with the little area that I have here and all those kind of things. So I'm going to get right to talking about management a little bit. How do I manage the iPads in the classroom and filming green screen in the classroom? One thing I really highly recommend is having the kids in small groups. So I sometimes pull a small group to the table where I'll only have 5 or 6 kids, and I'll teach them about an app or teach them about green screen. And I use this philosophy with all the teaching of my app. If it's a more complicated one, I will pull them in small groups. If it's not as complicated, sometimes I will put them in half and half. So maybe the first time I introduce this app, I will have them in a more smaller group, and then the next time I'll have half and half the class because they've used it already. So half the class is working on something like seat work or something else on their iPads, and then half the class is with me. And as they're teaching each other, or as I'm teaching them, then the ones that really understand will start teaching each other. So I will help some people if they're getting behind, and then those other kids will help the ones that really are behind, and the ones that are understanding will help them. So kind of like iPad experts, you just have them help each other. And I always tell them, it's okay if you're not getting it the first time. It's kind of slow. We try to go slow. I just want to cry every year at the end of the year when I lose my kids that I've had all year, and then I'm starting over from scratch and teaching them all the things. But it's so cool to see how they progress. So that's one way to manage. Also, how I teach the iPads, I think I can go big screen again here. How I teach the iPads in my classroom, I kind of use my science and social studies time for that. I do a lot of integrating science and social studies into my reading. And so I feel like we are really covering the standards, and we use that extra time for science and social studies also at the end of the day to kind of correlate with our reading time. We might do experiments or different things like that, but it also is a good time for catch up and for kids to actually have time to work on some of these green screen projects. We integrate it with our writing also, because they're writing scripts and they're writing stories that they're sharing with their green screen. So writing is a good way to get it in. Science and social studies time, when you feel like you've covered your standards for that week, then we have sometimes kind of a work time, and some kids will be working on stuff and other kids will be working on a green screen thing. For filming, a lot of times how I film so that they don't get the voice in the background, I have an area under my desk that does pretty well. I also have kids go out to the hall one at a time, and they will film out there. Sometimes we've even had a room at the end of our hallway, and if I had a high school helper at that time, I would have her take a kid or so down to that room, and then they would film, and then she'd send them back to the classroom as they were done. So if you have that opportunity where you have another adult that's helping you, you can send a kid out to record in another small room. Also, we have done just the class be quiet. So everybody's working on something, and as we pull the kids up to record their project, I'll pull up a small group or a few kids, and they'll kind of be waiting there, and I'll say, okay, it's recording time. Everyone, let's be quiet now to record. And they actually do really well because they want to have their project quiet for when they record, and the rest of the class is quiet for the person that's recording. So just getting used to that and helping each other out that way. We don't always have every single project that we do totally silent. So there's sometimes that our projects are noisy in the background, and that's okay. You don't always have to have them perfectly quiet in the background. That's just some tips that I use for recording. Some people have suggested those little boxes that you can record in, like an IKEA storage box, or I've seen them on Amazon. I've also heard of giant refrigerator boxes, which you may be able to fold those flat and then be able to store those easily in an area in your classroom, maybe between your filing cabinets or something. So those are all ways that kids can record quietly in a corner of your room where it's quiet. But then again, you got to remember that it can't be 100% of the time a perfect project when you're dealing with a classroom full of kids. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here and open up my green screen app and show you how to use it and help share some ideas of these projects that you can do with your class. And I know a lot of people have questions about what works good for Chromebooks. WeVideo is the one that I found that works good for Chromebooks. And there is one called VScope that I mess with a little bit that might be for Android. I don't think that works on Chromebooks, but it was a little bit more challenging. That might be good for more upper grades. I need something that's quick and easy and simple for my elementary kids to do. And this has been used from kindergarten and all grades that I know of, and even for upper grades, because you can do some pretty cool things with it. So the app is called Green Screen, and it's Do Inc. is the company, Green Screen by Do Inc. And it looks like this. It's a little octopus, and then the GS up there stands for green screen, and then it says the green screen underneath. So this little octopus app is very easy to use. I'm going to go ahead and open it here. And when I open it, I come to a screen that looks like this, or there might just be a sample project. I'm going to tap plus up here in the corner, and I'm going to tap create new project. There are 3 layers in the app, and basically if you think about just using the bottom 2, that would be a good place to start, because the top one is kind of for extra and I guess more elaborate projects, and we're just going to mainly stick with the bottom 2. The bottom layer is what I always tell the kids to start with. You want to go on the bottom layer. That's where it's going to see through to what's behind. So you're going to want to put whatever you want in the background that your green is going to show through on the bottom layer. So I'm going to tap the plus, and I'm going to tap an image, because this one's a picture on a picture, remember? And I'm just going to get this picture. I actually took a picture of this piece of paper. Do you see how that's all around the edges? It's not even right. But I'm going to tap use. The thing that's nice about this app is I can pinch and zoom. So I can squeeze that, and that can fill my screen. And I'm just pinching and zooming with my fingers until I get it how I want it. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm going to go to the second layer right here, and I'm going to tap the plus, and this time I'm going to tap the camera. Lighting isn't going to be the best because I'm having to do this underneath a box here. So I'm going to try to do the best I can with the lighting, but the lighting is what makes the world of difference. And it's really hard here when I'm demonstrating to get the lighting and all that. So I just have this little fish guy on a stick here, and it's clip art that you can just find the chroma key green color background, and you can print a page of clip art, and then you can just mount it on this. Now I might want to move my stick down a little bit. I want it to be so that it's not showing at the top. But you can use, I just painted a barbecue skewer, I think it's luscious green is the color, and I have that on a blog post too. But this is what you can just use as a mini area in your classroom for like workstation. When kids get done with work, that would be a good place that they can go after you teach them how to do this. So I have my folder here, and you can see down in the corner right here, it's not centered right, and it's just because I don't have the best setup here to show you this. But I'm going to put my fish in here, and you can see now the fish is on the green, but he's disappearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger over here, and there's this little circle, and this is really important, and I'm going to kind of mess with, do you see this little dial here where I'm moving it? And that's where it's going to help with your green color. And again, the lighting is what's really going to make the difference. Someone asked me if it mattered if the straw or the stick or whatever was different color than the background. I find it doesn't, and it really doesn't, it just disappears. You can see what I'm working on up here in the corner. These are pretty close to the same color, but I've used it with different and tried it out. It doesn't really matter. It's all about the lighting. So you want a lot of light coming in from the side. Sometimes we have turned off different lights in our classroom as far as the big classroom lights, because it helps actually with the lighting too. And here is the fish. I'm going to come down here to this little dial. This is where you would go if you're having the blue background. You're going to come in the blue section. And like I said, you can use these other colors too. You can see what's happening as I dial around. But the green is where I want to be. And I'm kind of in the shadows here in this box, so it's going to be kind of hard. But you can also adjust the sensitivity here, and that's going to help a little bit too. So now you can see my fish. I can move him around and I can have a video, or I can have a still picture, which is what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to take a still picture. I need to come right here, and video is red. So red for record if you want to think, and then image is going to be white. So that's a good way to help your kids know if it's an image or a video. You can see the different shades of green here and how that's looking, and then what it's showing up over here. And then I just tap that little white button, and it's taking a picture. Now this area here is not good because, like I said, it's in this box. And I'm going to tap down here, and it says done. And these choices come up. If I don't want the image, I can discard it, or I can save it to my camera roll. Then I'm going to tap OK. So my image is saved on my camera roll now. And I'm going to go out here to look. But what's really cool is you can, and you can see my image right there, you can just pop that right back into your green screen for another project. So I'm going to tap down here, done. And here's my project. And I'm going to go back here, this arrow at the top, and I'm going to start a new project. Create new project. And I could put that at the background again. But this project I'm going to do is the video in the background and the photo on top. And remember how I said we always film our photos on the green screen without the background? And I'm sorry, the green screen is on a green background, but we don't have the actual image, and we don't do it in here. We do that all on our camera roll. That just helps alleviate trouble, and then you can import it. So I'm going to put the plus here, and these are the choices. There's 4 of them. Actually, the Do Ink choice means if you have the little animation app that they have, you can actually put their animations into green screen too, which I don't have the app, but I love to get that. And you can add and make more elaborate projects that way. But we're just focusing on these 3 here. The camera, which is where you're going to be filming, like your camera on your iPad. This video goes from your camera roll, and the photo goes from your camera roll. These 2 are camera roll. This is actually where you can film or take pictures. So I'm going to tap video this time. And I made a little video of that fish kind of swimming. And I'm going to tap use. And now you can see the fish up here is kind of swimming across. Now again, I had some little shadow there, and that was just all my lighting because I didn't have very good lighting. You can see the white on the edge of my clip art. You want to make sure that you have it on a good green, get on this way. See, I have that on the white background, and if you have it tipped at all, then it's going to show. So you want to make sure that you have that straight on and have good lighting. So I was trying to do this with not so good lighting, and that's how it turned out. Then I'm going to tap the plus. That's the second layer here. And I'm going to tap the image that I want. And this is just going to be an image I took on a green screen. And the eraser part on this, I'm going to show you the eraser part. I need to go to recently added. I can't find it here. Okay, so this is my image I took on a green screen right out my front door, and you can see my side, and it's not that great. But I can go to this little mask tool, and I can hit the eraser. Actually, this little magic one, I can tap, and it erases most everything, except a few little things. If it was a solid color or a solid something around your green screen, it would erase all that. I'm going to take the eraser here, and I can change the size down here, whoops, the size down here at the bottom to really big, and I can go and erase. It's not erasing now, of course. The other thing you can do is a shape, and I can take the shape and drag it here
that square shape, and you can see how it's just disappearing everything from the shape. So that may be a faster way to do it on this one. So I'm just making a rectangle shape, and you can see how it's disappearing everything except the green fabric, and I want to get all those little creases out as best I can. So that was the shape. The eraser does the same thing. I'm not sure why it's not showing that right now. But the magic tool will do a whole section. The little eraser does all kind of little areas, like if you need to do, oh, my opacity isn't all the way up there, that's why. Oh, there we go. So it'll do this little section here where it's kind of wrinkled. And then the magic thing does a whole area, and then the square and circle do the shape. So it's kind of like when you draw a shape, only you're erasing the shape. I can tap done, and now you can see that I'm pretty much almost ready, but there is some green. So you're going to go again to that little, you have to make sure that the red box is around the layer you're on. You're going to tap again that little area, and I'm going to change that green. You can see how it's fixing it over here. Just by me moving that little dial, the green is going away. And then the sensitivity, of course, helps a little bit with it too. So now I'm kind of pointing at the fish, kind of like I'm in front of an aquarium, and you can see how that would work to put a photo in front of a video. And when you're done, again, you're going to just tap. That was just previewing it. I haven't saved it yet. So to save that video, and that's going to be all this background here, and it will just cut off exactly where I need to. You can put photo after photo after photo in the background, video after video after video in the background. Wherever you line up the little red bar is where a new video or photo will come. So I could line it up right here, and when I tap that plus button and add another thing like an image, I'll just show you real quick. Maybe I want the crab image next, and that's not a video. Whoops, I put it in the wrong spot. I was on the wrong layer. That's the one thing you have to remember. So I can just drag that end there and get it to the end. Let's say I wanted to add, I got to be on that bottom layer. That's where I'm adding the image. And I can tap the little crab. And now you can see it changed from the little fish to the crab as far as my background. So you can add as many videos as you want, as many photos as you want, and it automatically just changes wherever that red line is. So now I want to save this video, and it will end right here. If it doesn't, you can also tap here and do cut. Whoops, I'm sorry, not cut. There's a little undo. These are little tricks to show you. So let's say you hit the cut and you didn't want it, or trim is what you want to hit. Trim so that they're all lined up, your layers are equal. Trim, cut gets rid of it completely, and then copy is if you want to copy that background and keep pasting it over to make it longer. So I can tap, remember, video and image, so I can tap save, and now it's exporting my video, and then I can save that to my camera roll, and I'm ready to use that in projects, or I can do voiceover on it in iMovie. There's just lots and lots of things you can do with it. I don't think I mentioned about the photo part, but yeah, with the photos, you can put that in another app and type facts on it. So there's lots of different things you can do for projects.
So there's a lot of different project ideas that you can do with your class. Hopefully you got some of those, like the poem and using stick puppets, using hand puppets. You can use them for any subject area. Do a green screen project for a biography, a person that you're studying, have them in the background. Have somebody be doing a conversation with somebody in the background of that famous person and have them dress up like the famous person, and then actually put them at the place. You know, your classroom doesn't go to another country, but find a photo of that country and put it in the background. Use the kids' artwork, have them describe the artwork that's behind them. Use a book cover and have them do a book report. Have them talk about a book character, sections from the book, maybe put them on a Time for Kids or a Scholastic News, and have them be talking about the different nonfiction text features. There's just so many cool things you can do with green screen, and you just have to get creative, and your kids in your classroom will be real creative and have lots of ideas too. So I hope you've learned a lot about different ways to use green screen in the classroom and using the Do Ink Green Screen app. Again, if you have any questions or comments, write them below. And I thank you so much for joining me today. I have really enjoyed doing this session with you guys, and I really have enjoyed this time that you took out of your schedule to learn some new things during your summer. And I can't wait. If you have any green screen projects, I started the hashtag GreenScreenEDU. Use that on Twitter, use that on Instagram, use it on Facebook. Do it with your projects. Tag me in them. I'd love to see what kind of things your kids are doing and share those out with other people to give other people ideas too. So I can't wait to see your green screen projects, and I hope you have a great rest of the conference and listening to all the rest of the sessions. Goodbye.